Guys, do subscribe the Gate Hunt and press the bell icon to receive notifications on latest jobs updates, Gate talks and video lectures on Gate and IES.
Hello guys, welcome to this first lecture of engineering ethics for GS for IES. So guys, today we will be starting with the next subject which comes in GS in IES. So this is ethics in engineering profession. So guys, in this subject we will be studying 11 chapters in total, including the previous year questions which have come in ethics in engineering profession subject. So guys, the first chapter which we are going to study today about the ethics in engineering profession is the introductory part. So in this introductory part, we will be further studying the three subtopics. The first subtopic that we will be studying is objectives, that is the various purposes of studying engineering ethics. Then we will move on to the various meanings of various important concepts related to engineering ethics, and at the end we will be studying about some theories of moral development, among which the first theory was given by Mr. Kohlberg and the second theory was given by Ms. Gilligan, who was an student of Mr. Kohlberg. So guys, in 2018, 7 questions came from ethics in engineering profession in GS in IES, whereas in year 2017, 6 questions came from this subject. So guys, starting with the first topic, that is objectives, that is various purposes of studying engineering ethics. So the first purpose of studying engineering ethics is to understand moral dilemmas. So if we know ethics, then only we are knowing whatever thought process going inside us is according to the moral values or not. Guys, moving on, the second purpose of studying this ethics in engineering profession is to take action in moral dilemma situation. And the third purpose of studying this engineering ethics is justification of actions in the light of ethics and morality. So whatever actions we are taking at any point of time, they should be correct as per the law and they should be moral also. So whether a particular action which we are taking is lawful or unlawful, we can know only when we know law. Similarly, whether a particular action which we are taking is within the limits of morality or beyond the limits of morality, that can be known only when we know morality. So these three are the objectives of studying ethics. If an engineer knows about ethics, then these three purposes are served. So guys, now moving on to the second heading of this chapter first, that is meanings or explanations of some important concepts. So we will be studying the meaning of this profession and what is the meaning of morals and morality. So guys, first of all, let's talk about that what is a profession. So guys, profession may be defined as an occupation which has following characteristics. So these are the various characteristics which when followed by an occupation, then it is termed as a profession. So these are the primary characteristics and these are the secondary characteristics. So the primary characteristics which an occupation follows to become a profession are: number first is advanced expertise. So guys, an occupation is called a profession if the profession follows advanced expertise. For example, throughout India, there are lakhs of people repairing cycles, but to a cycle repairing mechanic, we don't call that this fellow is a professional because this advanced expertise component will be missing. So, for an occupation to be called as a profession, this components of advanced expertise should be there. Like for becoming an engineer, you should be having an advanced expertise. And how do you gain this advanced expertise? By undergoing at least 4-year course. Or similarly, if you take the example of law profession, then you have to undergo at least 2 years LLB course to gain advanced expertise. Guys, moving on, the second primary characteristic of profession is self-regulation. So guys, people who are in the same occupation, they only set standards for the overall community. Like suppose, take the example of doctors. So what is ethical for a doctor and what is unethical for doctors who can perform operation and who can't perform operations, all these things are decided by doctors only. So an IAS officer, that is a bureaucrat who has no knowledge of this profession of medicines, will not prescribe terms and conditions for other doctors. Guys, moving on, the third primary characteristic of a profession is public good. So whatever people are engaged in this occupation, it should be for the benefit of the public. For example, we can't say that a gangster gang is a profession because it is not for public good. So an occupation is termed as profession if it is doing something good for the general public. Guys, moving on, talking about that what are the secondary characteristics which an occupation needs to follow to be called a profession. These are: first one is that more than one person should be engaged in this occupation. So suppose suddenly tomorrow one person appears on horizon and says that I am doing so and so. That is some strange type of work, and he is declaring that I am a professional. So we will not accept that statement by that person because this person is violating this secondary condition, that for an occupation to be called as profession, more than one person should be involved or should be engaged in that occupation. So this is the meaning of profession. Guys, moving on, the second secondary characteristic of a profession is that the person engaged should publicly declare, that is, accept that he is doing this profession. Guys, moving on, the third secondary characteristic of a profession is that persons engaged should make their living from this occupation. Guys, before moving further, one more thing that I need to tell you is that all the professions are occupation, but not all the occupations are professions. So this Venn diagram is showing this thing only. So let us consider that this circle represents a set of occupation, then the profession can be said as the subset of this occupation. Guys, moving on, now let's discuss that how can you become a professional engineer in India. So before knowing that how to become a professional engineer in India, let us talk about this ECI. So what is this ECI? This ECI stands for Engineering Council of India. So it is a federation of various associations of engineers. So here association means group of persons and the federation means collection of associations. So this Engineering Council of India is a federation of various associations of engineers. So all those people who are interested in registering themselves as professional engineers, they can approach this ECI and they can register as professional engineers. So for registering himself as professional engineer, there are some conditions a person has to fulfill, like he might have to undergo some interviews or written tests also. So after fulfilling all these conditions, a person can be called as a professional engineer. So guys, we will talk about this ECI, that is Engineering Council of India, in our future lectures. Guys, moving on, let's talk about that what is a moral. So moral is a principle about good or bad behavior. Or in other words, we can say that moral is a principle about right or wrong behavior. So guys, for example, consider this statement that telling lie is bad. So whosoever might have given this statement, we can say that this is a moral. So why it is a moral? Because it is talking about goodness or badness of a particular behavior. Guys, similarly, the second example can be that killing animals for fun is wrong. So it might be given by anybody. It might be given by me. It might be given by Gandhi ji or anybody. So this will be called as a moral principle because it is talking about goodness or badness of a particular behavior. So guys, one more thing that I need to tell you here is that this moral is equivalent to ethical. So we can say that moral and ethical both are same. Guys, moving on, let's talk about that what does this morals means. So morals are simply plurals of moral. that is a collection of principles about good or bad behavior. Guys, talking about morality, so it is a set of morals being followed by an individual or a group. So suppose I follow some moral principles, so collection of those moral principles will be called as my morality. In the same way, let us suppose the word Indian morality. So, Indian morality defines a collection of morals which are being followed by a group of people which belongs to India. So, guys, this morality is equivalent to ethics. So, we can say that ethics is sometimes said as morality also. So guys, now let's talk about various theories of moral development. So there are basically two theories given about moral development. First one is given by Kohlberg and the second one was given by Gilligan. So these theories of moral development defines that how over a person's lifespan what changes happens in the way that he starts looking at the morality. That is how does a person's moral principles keeps on changing with the passage of time. So guys, our thinking about morality changes with age. That is, when we are child, then our moral principles are different. And then as we become elders, then our moral principles becomes different. And then as we grew up and we become much older, then we start thinking in a different way about the moral principles. So, guys, talking about this Kohlberg's theory of morality, then he says that our understanding about morality is age dependent. Moreover, he says that our understanding of morality is categorized into three levels. So, what are these three levels? First one is pre-conventional level, second one is conventional level, and the third one is post-conventional level. So he says that these levels are in hierarchy. That is, this pre-conventional level is the lowest level and this post-conventional level is the highest level. Moreover, he says that we reach next level of morality development with time. And the fifth point, which Kohlberg says, is that not everybody reaches to post-conventional level of morality development. So guys, now let's talk about that what does this pre-conventional level and what does this conventional level and what does this post-conventional levels of morality development means. So guys, we have this pre-conventional type of understanding of morality when we are children. At this level, self is the focus. That is, we want to avoid pain to ourselves. Whatever ensures that we don't suffer any physical or emotional pain, that becomes a moral action for us. So, for example, when we are children and in a particular situation, we think that by saying lies, we can escape from getting punished, then we will tell lies. So we are saying lie because we consider saying lies to escape from punishment is a part of our morality. So self preservation or avoidance of punishment is the main principle of morality. So when we are merely concerned with self preservation, we say that our moral development is of pre-conventional level, and all the children have this pre-conventional level in morality development. Guys, talking about this second level of morality development, that is conventional level of morality development. So at conventional level, society is the focus. The person who are at conventional level of morality development, they are very much bothered about the society कि society क्या बोलेगी, what the people of society will say. So all those actions which can make the people of society happy, those actions will be considered as morality. So at conventional level of morality development, loyalty to society is considered very important attribute. And guys, as the time progresses, there are always chances that for a person moral development would reach to a higher stage of post conventional level. Guys, very few people reaches this post conventional level of morality development. And if a person reaches to this post conventional level of morality development, then it means the person has become internationalist, or you can say that the world view of person becomes global. and all those things which are good for the world as a whole, only those things are considered as moral by the people who are at the level of post conventional level of morality development. Guys, moving on, now let's talk about that what are the features of this Gilligan's theory of morality development. So guys, this Miss Gilligan was a student of Kohlberg. So she thought that theory given by Kohlberg is mainly applicable to men. So she gave her own theory of moral development, especially taking women in focus. So guys, the main features of Miss Gilligan's theory are nearly same as Mr. Kohlberg's theory. So the main features of Miss Gilligan's theory are that our understanding of morality development is age dependent. Moreover, our understanding of morality development is categorized into three levels. These levels are in hierarchy. We reach next level of morality development with time, and not everybody reaches to the post conventional level of morality development. So guys, the main difference between this Gilligan's theory of moral development and Kohlberg's theory of moral development are that what happens at pre-conventional level, at conventional level, and at the post-conventional level. So Gilligan's theory is mainly dependent on the behavior of girls, whereas Kohlberg's theory is mainly dependent on the behavior of boys. So according to Gilligan, at pre-conventional level of morality development, the main principle of morality remains same as in the case of Kohlberg's theory of moral development. That is, the self-preservation is the main principle of moral development at pre-conventional level of morality. And small girls comes under this pre-conventional level of morality development. Guys, moving on, young woman comes under this conventional level of morality development, and sacrificing oneself to make others happy is the main principle of morality in this conventional level of morality development. That is, at this level, women starts thinking to please their near and dear ones. Therefore, women who are at this conventional level of morality development tries to make happy their near and dear ones. They don't want to make anyone angry. That is, they are very much bothered about maintenance of interpersonal relationships. Guys, moving on, mature women goes into this post conventional level of morality development, and when they reaches this post conventional level, they try to strike a balance between care for self and others. So at conventional level, they are always too much bothered about care of others. But when they reaches this post conventional level, they start thinking that we are also human beings. We should take care of ourselves also. In addition to taking care of others, we should take care of ourselves also. So they strike a balance between self benefit and benefit of others. So this is what Gilligan said.
Guys, do hit the like button and do subscribe the Gate Hunt and press the bell icon to receive notifications on latest jobs updates, Gate talks and video lectures on Gate and IES.